story time about how I got caught skipping school almost every day of my senior year. So our school had just started this new thing where you fill out all your contact information online. And my dad was like, okay, yeah, just fill yours out. And it pretty much was who can pick you up, who can make early dismissals for you, who they can call if you're in trouble. Well, I decided to be a sneaky little bastard and put my boyfriend in for every single one of those contacts. I would start school around 7:30 a.m. and I would go to the nurse's office at like 9 a.m. and she would call and my boyfriend would act like my dad and be like, okay, yeah, just let her drive home. Well, my guidance counselor noticed after about 3 months of me never being at school. So she called the number hoping to speak to my dad. But instead she got my boyfriend. And he just thought it was a random person, so he didn't act like my dad. Because neither of us knew. Like for part 2. Okay, part 2. Okay, so pretty much what happened after that is she called and like she found out that it wasn't my dad. And then she went digging and like she like called my sister to the office and she was like, what's your dad's phone number? And my sister was like, why? Like, don't you guys have it already? And I also put the same numbers for my sisters, so that way in case this day came, then, you know, it wouldn't look suspicious. Well, I don't know what she threatened my sister with, but she scared the hell out of her, so she gave her my dad's number. And so my sister told me whenever she got home, so I went to school the next day. And it was like a surprise party whenever I walked in the office. The dean was there, the principal was there, and my guidance counselor. So I got in trouble and then they were like, oh, we're calling your dad. So what did I do? I left before they called him.
Be careful on who you decide to meet up with on a dating app because you might just end up on a date with a narcissist. When I was in Denver, I ended up matching with a really hot 39-year-old who also happened to be a lawyer. I recently called off an engagement, so casually dating other people was kinda in the books for me. Before meeting him, I made sure I took all the usual precautions. We made it very, very clear what our boundaries were and said that there was no expectations. So like either of us could leave after a drink and it would be totally fine. Also, we made sure to FaceTime and he seemed super sweet, totally normal. However, the second we sat down, it seemed like he was on drugs. He would literally talk a million miles an hour about himself and wouldn't let me get a breath in. And the stuff he was bringing up was just odd. Like he even included that he broke off an engagement too. Hold on to that thought. 2 drinks in, this man leans over and says, I've been diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenic disorder, but I didn't want to talk about it over text. Because I don't know a whole lot about those mental disorders, I felt a little uncomfy. I also didn't feel like that was a first date topic. Then he literally starts joking about murdering me, and states that he would use my dead body for Face ID to text my friend that I'm safe so the timing is off for the investigation. Like for part 2. Part 2 of going on a date with a narcissist. So I start getting uncomfy and getting ready to leave. He offers to call a car and I say, oh no, it's fine, you got my drink, I'm just gonna go. And he gets confused and he's like, wait, what's going on here? Are we not going home together? I expressed that I was just tired and I wanted to get back to my hotel so that I could sleep and get on the road in the morning. He could not have been more offended by this and kept trying to make sexual comments to get me to come back to his place.
Story time about how my best friend found out that I hooked up with her boyfriend. A little background information. I was in high school, and I was best friends with this girl. We're gonna call her M. Well, M and I both had boyfriends, and they were also best friends. But I was super close with her boyfriend. Because we had been best friends for like 3 years before they even started dating. Well, the one night we're all at my house, and we're all drinking, having a good time, and I always felt like I had feelings for him, aka my best friend's boyfriend. Well, my boyfriend had to go to his house to get some clothes, and M was the only one sober, so she drove him. So her boyfriend and I are sitting in the living room, and we're gonna call him Nate. Well, Nate and I get to talking, and we were saying how crazy it would be if we started dating. And then I told him that I had feelings for him. And he said that he did too. So we decided to be terrible people and we hooked up. And after that, we definitely knew that there weren't any feelings there. But he went and got a shower because he had my lipstick all over him and he was really sweaty. Then my best friend got back like for part 2 of how my best friend found out that I hooked up with her boyfriend. So like I said, her and my boyfriend finally got back to my house. And she goes, oh, where's Nate? And I told her that Nate was in the shower. I told her that whenever he was trying to pour a drink, he spilt vodka all over his clothes. So we're all sitting there, and then he comes out in the exact same clothes that he had on before. And she was like, oh, I thought you spilled vodka all over your clothes. And he was like, oh, we put them in the dryer. So she literally got up, went over, and smelt his clothes, and they did not smell like vodka. So after that, she starts flipping the fuck out. She's like, why don't your fucking clothes smell like vodka? And then he came up with something. He was like, oh, she got confused. I spilled water all over my clothes. So as we're all watching a movie, I realized that Nate has a hickey on his neck. From me. So I started having her drink a lot because maybe she wouldn't remember and she would have thought that she gave it to him. Well, I woke up the next morning and nobody was at my house. And when I went into the bathroom, I saw that all my hair was cut off. Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be doing a little review on these makeup sponges that I got. So once in a while on YouTube, I will see girls using these really big makeup sponges. So I went to Ulta today and I got 2 of them. And they're both different brands. This one's Real Techniques. Don't mind, I ripped up the packaging on this one. But this is by the brand Eco Tools. Pretty much what I'm going to be doing is using one sponge on one side of my face and the other on the other side. Basically, it's just going to be me telling you which one I like better, and if there's a difference between the two, and if I prefer a regular beauty blender versus these. But there's something special about this one. This one is infused with antimicrobial silver. I can't say that word. But the girl on Ulta told me that it's really good for preventing acne. I don't know how, but we'll see. So I already moisturized and primed my face. Okay, this side is done. There's going to be a part 2 on this. Part 2 of me trying out these big beauty blenders, one by Eco Tools and one by Real Techniques. So like I said, these aren't made for your face. These are made for blending stuff out on your body. So as much as I wanted to like the Eco Tools one, it just did not work at all. As you can see, I could barely get in any crevices. That's because, like, you know, it's right there, they're flat, and then it's just really big right there. But one thing that I did like about it, it was fast with getting the foundation on right here, and it's really firm. And whenever I get a new beauty blender, I feel like the beauty blender sucks up a ton of product. This one surprisingly didn't. So if you bought this one, you would definitely have to go in with a regular beauty blender to get all those spaces that you missed. So this side is the Real Techniques. As you can see, it came out really nice, but it did eat up a ton of product. The foundation that I have is a medium coverage, so I usually have to use like 4 pumps. But on this side alone, I had to use like 5 pumps, which is expected because this is a new beauty blender. So if you wanted my opinion, I would go with the Real Technique.
So this might sound immature, but one day my friend and I thought it'd be funny to make some prank calls, so we called this guy that she knew. The guy we prank called had a really good sense of humor about it, so he decided to keep messaging me after. I really just wanted attention and decided to keep talking to him. And then that's when we FaceTimed. He was so cute and we continued to talk back and forth. But I had to go on vacation with my family for a few days, so we couldn't meet up quite yet. For this trip, he asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes, but it wasn't long until he started to notice that I wasn't much of a simp for him. This really bothered him, but he ended up going about it all the wrong way. He decided to start making up stories in order to get attention from me. They would be about him or his family, and he would just do it to get me to listen to him more. And me, being a dumbass, just kind of ignored this red flag and continued on in the relationship. So one day he sent me a message saying some guys had beat him up, even though in a previous picture he showed me he didn't have any bruises. 3 days later, when I was outside of a club, he messaged me that he had a brain bleed which led to a stroke and now he has permanent brain damage. Like for part 2. Part 2, a prank call might lead you to a shitty relationship. I literally stormed out of the club crying my eyes out. Straight up thought my boyfriend had severe brain damage. He told me this was a condition that he was going to have to spend the rest of his life with, and I cried until the morning. Once it got to the next day though, I kind of noticed that he was talking normally, he wasn't in the hospital, so I got really sus about it. So I decided to go ahead and text his mom through my mom's phone, just to check in and see how he was doing from her perspective. And she was like, oh, he's fine, it was just a little scare. A little scare? Brain damage is a little scare? He was like, in fact, he's out biking right now. So I just stormed out to go dig some more information. I found out he messaged my best friend telling her not to tell any of his friends about his seizure. So I decided to confront him and called him fuming. And at first he denied everything. He was like, no, it's all true. So I told him I needed a break, and that's when he was like, wait. I Googled some of the symptoms that I was having, and that's what showed up. So you used Dr. Google. I just broke it off with him. If you guys have a story you'd like to share, follow me and DM me on Insta. So I've never tried a honeycomb before. I've literally always wanted to, and since I have my bee makeup on today, I figured we could try it together. It smells like wax. Oh my god. Should I just... Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know why the guy said so honey. There's like honey in the pores of it.
Storytime about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So a little background information. My parents and I moved into a new house that was literally 5 minutes from where I used to live. but I went to private school. And almost all the other kids in my town went to the public school. So I didn't really know a lot of the kids in my town. Well, a week after we moved in, our neighbors across the street invited us to a barbecue. While we were there, I started talking to our neighbor's older son. And him and I started to get along really well. Like, in a flirty way. Their older son was a senior. I was a sophomore. And their younger son was a freshman. Well, I kind of talked to the younger son, but he was just like giving me really weird vibes. So for the next few weeks, I started hanging out with their older son a lot and we would talk all the time. Well, the one day whenever I went over their house, it was super weird. His younger brother kept saying, "Oh, I think I know you from somewhere. Like, I swear I know you." And I'm just like, okay. Well, the one morning I was waiting outside for my mom to pick me up because she worked night shifts and she would just grab me and then take me to my school. And I saw him in his window watching me like for part 2. Part 2 about the boy across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I saw him watching me outside his window, but I didn't want to overthink it, so I was just like, no, maybe he's looking at something else. Well, this all started a month after I moved in. Well, it started happening more frequently, so then I told his older brother. We're just gonna call the younger brother Mac. So he talked to Mac and then everything was fine for a week. Just a little information real quick. For the public school, the bus would arrive at 7:40. My private school started at 7 o'clock. So my mom would come and get me at 6:15 because my school was kind of far away. So like I said, it was a week later. Every morning that I would go outside to wait for my mom, Mac would be standing on his porch watching me. Oh, but it gets worse. So one night I was in my bedroom, right? And this is like some scary movie shit. I kept seeing something run past my window. My bedroom was on the first floor. So I told my dad about it and he put cameras outside. Well, Mac's older brother told me that Mac was always interested in my life. So me being a smart ass bitch, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work, like for part 3. Part 3 about the boy that lived across the street who used to stalk me. So like I said, I told his older brother that our cameras didn't work anymore, knowing that he would tell Mac. Because he had it in his head for some reason that Mac wasn't obsessed with me. And the reason why I told him our cameras didn't work was because Mac was watching while the cameras were being set up outside. And after that, everything stopped. Except he would still be outside every single morning on his fucking porch watching me. So the one night while I'm sleeping, I wake up to some noise right outside my window. And my bed was on the same wall as the window, so I could see who was right outside my window, but they couldn't see me. Well, I look, and guess who the fuck it is? It's Mac trying to get in.
Make sure you always verify who randomly adds you on Snapchat, or you might accidentally send a nude to your substitute teacher. We're gonna call this guy James, because that's his real name. And I got a notification one day that James had added me on Snapchat. I guess he added me in the section where you can find suggested friends, but I immediately recognized his name. Even though I was a lot younger, he had went to my high school prior and I had even watched him in a play. I was studying drama at the time and it was just at a local theater. But it didn't take long after James added me for his Bitmoji to start popping up. So eventually I decided to answer his chats. And yes, this man was super attractive, but we really bonded over theater for a couple of days, and then he randomly asked me for nudes. I, not being okay with that, politely declined. And then I straight up got ghosted. And this cycle continued to happen about 3 or 4 times. He talked to me for a few days, bond, and then asked me for a nude or for me to come over to his house. I would decline and then get ghosted again. Weeks later, the cycle happened again, and this time I gave in. I sent him a half nude and he didn't screenshot it, so I thought we were in the clear. After that, he sent a video of himself, and then I didn't hear from him for weeks. That was until I walked into my drama class. Part 2 to accidentally sending my substitute teacher a nude. Like I said, it was radio silence from James for weeks. And like how I previously talked about my passion for drama, I was very involved in drama at school. Our group was due to have a performance in the next few weeks. But sadly, our teacher had fallen and broken her leg, so she wasn't going to be able to teach us for a bit. So they had to call in an emergency substitute. My friends and I were rehearsing one day when we were told that our new teacher was on his way. We were told to keep practicing and that he'd come up and introduce himself and help us with our performance. That's when he walked in, and if you can't guess yet, it was James. When he saw me, he went white as a ghost and I felt sick. I mentioned to one of my friends what had happened and she was like, "Girl, you have to say something." But I didn't really want that reputation, so I stayed quiet. He even mentioned to our class that he had a girlfriend and that her birthday was coming up soon. It felt so awkward, but eventually a new substitute took over. And I have no idea what happened to James. He tried to Snapchat me after this, but I ended up blocking him. I was also about 16 at the time and he was about 22. And I don't know if he did this with other students. But James, we hope you see this. And if anyone has a story that they'd like to share, follow me and DM me on Instagram. This is why you should never hook up with a man. Just kidding, this is also karma on my end too. So I was starting my freshman year of college and I was going into it with a girlfriend of 3 years. I was no longer emotionally invested in the relationship, but I wanted to keep up appearances back home. However, I knew that when I went to college, I wanted to hook up with someone. And not just anyone, I wanted to hook up with a man. Because I had literally never done that before. So I went to freshman orientation and went to a meet and mingle and ended up meeting a guy named Logan. At least that's what we'll call him. He was so cute and so charming, and we were able to bond over the nerdiest things, which is stuff that my girlfriend always made me feel extremely childish about. Logan made me feel validated and understood. This is when he told me he had a girlfriend too. Not long after, he ended up telling me he had a crush on me and wanted to talk about it in person. So I went up to his room and he sang to me, held me, and made me feel loved. Then I spent the night and, the next day he took me out to lunch with his parents, and then I decided to have a conversation with him about what we should do. We both agreed we should just keep acting like us and doing our thing, but I felt super bad and super uncomfy that he had a girlfriend. But one day my girlfriend found out and contacted his girlfriend. Storytime part 2 on why you should never sleep with a man. Again, just kidding, I am also to blame. Once my girlfriend found out I was cheating, she told Logan's girlfriend too. That night she blew up Logan's phone telling him everything she had been told, and he literally told his girlfriend that I did sleep with someone on campus, but it wasn't him. He said that I just told my girlfriend it was him just to spite her. I obviously should have seen this as a massive red flag, as if there weren't a million others. Of course his girlfriend wanted to hear my side, so I just went along with whatever Logan said, even though I felt awful and I have no idea why I went along with something so low. And after that, we still kept sleeping together. And even though I had broken up with my girlfriend by now, he still acted like he was in a perfect relationship with his girlfriend. He also let me know that this was not his first time two-timing before. So his cycle was just continuing. He ended up breaking things off with me on their 1 year so he could spend time with her and completely ghosted me. Even after telling me that he still wanted to be close like we were before our affair. I know what I did was wrong, I'm not defending myself, but I still think it's shitty and they're still together. If you guys have a story that you'd like to share, follow me and DM me on Instagram. So I picked up some goodies from the candy store today. And I picked out a bunch of stuff that I've never tried. So today I'm gonna be trying this sour binky. Yes, today's theme is the heart emoji. Ooh. And it says that it's so sour you'll cry. That's really sour. I'm actually getting kind of used to it. It tastes so good and it's starting to get sweet.